Mr. Julio Reimer Sr., Chief Financial Officer of VIA. Bill number 35-0025, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, Department of Property and Procurement, and Anthony Isaac, doing business as Ace Trucking and Trash Removal. Invited testifiers are Mrs. Lisa M. Alejandro, Acting Commissioner, Department of Property and Procurement, and Mr. Anthony Isaac, owner, Ace Trucking and Trash Removal. Madam Chair, this concludes the reading of the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And as I said earlier, today we will hear testimony on 4 leases between the Government of the Virgin Islands, and all leases are required by law to be ratified by the legislature. However, please note that the legislature does not have the legal authority to amend any provisions of the leases sent for ratification. So I'm going to ask this morning that the testifiers state your name and title for the record. And we will begin with the representative from the Virgin Islands Department of Property and Procurement, Mr. Vincent Richards. Please place your name and title on the record, Mr. Richards.
Good morning, Vincent Richards, Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement.
Okay. Thank you for that. So, Mr. Richards, you are representing Acting Commissioner Alejandro for all of the leases that's before us today. Is correct?
Yes, Senator.
All right. Okay. And who speaks to, and the representative for Suntech? Okay, so we are unable to hear, I believe that's Mr. Kevin Reams.
Oh, yes, Kevin Reams from St. Croix, representing Suntech as its legal counsel.
Okay, Mr. Reams, is there any other representative for Suntech? Or is it just you today?
No, there is no other representative for Suntech present. Ms. Amanda Piguero regrets that she will not be able to be present as she is attending to a family matter in the Dominican Republic that requires her presence. Okay,
thank you. A9 Trucking, Inc. and Sarnilli Brothers, doing business as VI Recycling Company.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
Please recognize the mic of the testifiers.
Good morning.
Speak again, let's see if we can hear you.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Pull the mic closer to your...
Good morning, Jennifer Jones on behalf of A9 Trucking Enterprises, Inc. and Sarnelli Brothers VI, doing business as VI Recycling.
Okay, Attorney Jones.
Yes.
All right. And VIA? I'm not seeing VIA here, and I'm also not seeing them on Teams. So we may have to take a recess to figure out what's going on with that. As we said, we're doing one block. And then we also have 2 fine gentlemen in front of us this morning. Anthony Isaac, doing business as Ace Trucking and Trash Removal. Please put your name and title, your name on the record and the entity that you're representing. You may begin first.
Kadeem Benjamin, partner in Ace Trucking and Trash Removal.
And that's Kadeem Benjamin.
Correct.
And you are a part owner?
Yes.
And?
Name is Anthony Isaac, owner of Ace Trucking and Trash Removal.
All right, well, thank you all for being here. And I believe that we're ready to proceed. I really don't want to take a recess. I need to proceed with the meeting. I will allow VIA to regroup and get themselves together, and then they could put their name on the record. But we're going to start with the representative from the Virgin Islands Department of Property and Procurement, Mr. Vincent Richards. You may proceed with your testimony.
Good morning. Good morning, Committee Chair Donna A. Fred Gregory, Vice Chair Novelli Francis Jr., Committee members Senators Blyden, Carrion, DeGraff, Fonseca, and James Sr., non-committee members, legislative staff, fellow testifiers, visitors, and members of the listening and viewing audience. I am Vincent Richards, Deputy Commissioner of the Property and Procurement, Printing and Property Division of the Virgin Islands. I appear today on behalf of Acting Commissioner Lisa M. Alejandro to offer testimony on the proposed lease agreements for St. Thomas, St. John, and the St. Croix districts, which are all before this committee for consideration. I'm here today to request this committee's and ultimately the full Senate's approval of the lease agreements between the government of the Virgin Islands and Suntech Group, Incorporated, doing business as St. Thomas Gas, A9 Trucking Enterprise Incorporating, and Sarnelli Brothers Incorporated, doing business as VI Recycling Company. The Virgin Islands Telephone Corporation, doing business as VIA. And finally, Anthony Isaac, doing business as Ace Trucking and Trash Removal. These leases require the legislative approval in accordance with 31 Virgin Islands Code, subsection 205C. Their terms all commence on the first day of the month following the approval of the governor and the legislature of the Virgin Islands. All lease agreements require a minimum of $1 million for all limits of public liability coverage. As the premises owner, DPP, or the Department of Property and Procurement, will be required to execute all permits required for the premises. These 4 potential lessees have provided the required documentation to support the processing of their lease agreements with the government, including but not limited to their business license and certificates of good standing. The lease agreement between Suntech and the government of the Virgin Islands is for parcel number 4, Submarine Base, number 6, Southside Quarter, St. Thomas, United States Virgin Islands, consisting of approximately 27,732 square feet, or 0.0637 U.S. acres of land. The property will be used for operating a trucking, transportation, and delivery and retail business for bottled propane gas and no other purposes whatsoever. The term of this agreement is for 10 years, and the lease agreement provides for 2 additional renewal options of 5 years each. The annual rent for the above referenced parcel would be $54,000, payable in equal monthly installments of $4,500 during the term of this lease. The rent payable under the lease agreement will be adjusted after the first year and every year thereafter, including any renewal term, in accordance with the Consumer Price Index. Increases established by the United States Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, subject to a 3% cap in the increases each year. The lease agreement between VI Recycling and the government of the Virgin Islands for an unimproved portion of parcel number 1-19 Estate Bovoni, numbers 1 and 2 Frenchman's Bay Quarter, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, consisting of approximately 247,061 U.S. square feet, or 5.67 acres of land. The property will be used to operate a scrap metal collection and sales business and for other related purposes. The terms of the agreement is for 10 years, and the lease agreement provides for 2 renewal options of 5 years each. The annual rent for the above referenced parcel would be $54,000, payable in equal monthly installments of $4,500 during the terms of the lease. The rent payable under the lease agreement will be adjusted after the 5th year and every year thereafter, including any renewal terms in accordance with the Consumer Price Index increases established by the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, subject to a 3% cap in the increases each year. The lease agreement between VIA and the government of the Virgin Islands is for a portion of a telecommunication tower and bunker in building number 1, suite number 2, parcel number 6, Estate Recovery Hill, Company Quarter, St. Croix, Virgin Islands. The lease will be used, the lessee would use a portion of the telecommunication tower for the establishment and operation of a wireless link connection and a 9x8 room bunker for the purpose of housing associated equipment and no other purpose. The term of the lease agreement is for 10 years, and the lease agreement provides for 2 renewal options of 5 years each. The annual rent for the above reference parcel will be $36,000, payable in equal monthly installments of $3,000 during the term of the lease. The rent payable under the lease agreement will be adjusted after the 1st year and every year thereafter, including any renewal term in accordance with the Consumer Price Index established by the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, subject to a 3% cap each year. Finally, the lease agreement between Ace Trucking and the government of the Virgin Islands is for parcel number 124 subbase, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, consisting of approximately 33,050 square feet or 0.758 U.S. acres of improved land. The property will be used for operating a garbage removal, trucking, transportation, and delivery business, and for other related purposes. The term of the lease agreement is for 10 years, and the lease agreement provides for 2 additional renewal options of 5 years each. The annual rent for the above reference parcel will be $24,000 payable in equal monthly installments of $2,000 during the term of the lease. The lease agreement will include a construction period of 36 months, during which a lessee will complete improvements to the premises. During the construction period, the lessee will pay a reduced rent of $500 per month for the first 24 months and $1,000 per month for the 24th month to the 36th month. The rent payable under this lease agreement will be adjusted after the 1st year and every year thereafter, including any renewal terms in accordance with the Consumer Price Index increase established by the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, subject to a 3% cap in increase each year. These proposed lease agreements will provide locally owned businesses the needed security and commitment to invest and reinvest in their properties, as well as expand and improve their operations. The properties will eventually be returned to the government of the Virgin Islands at the end of their lease terms in improved conditions. These businesses will continue to provide critical services and contribute to the long-term recovery and economic growth of the United States Virgin Islands. The Department of Property and Procurement respectfully requests that the 34th Legislature of the Virgin Islands Committee on Budget, 35th, I'm sorry, I read wrong. Bear with me, I'm getting old. The 35th Legislature of the United States Virgin Islands Committee on Budget, Appropriation, and Finance vote in favor of these proposed lease agreements. This concludes my prepared testimony, and I'm prepared to answer any question the committee may have on the reference lease agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. The representative for Suntech Group, Inc., Mr. Attorney Kevin Rames, you may proceed with your testimony. Before you proceed, let me recognize the presence of Senator Carla J. Joseph, non-committee member. Thank you for being here, Senator. Attorney Rames, you may proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Mr. President, Madam Chair, members of the Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, legislative staff, other testifiers, and members of the general public. My name is Kevin Rames, and I'm counsel for Suntech, which is a company that does business in the U.S. Virgin Islands on St. Thomas as St. Thomas Gas and on St. Croix as St. Croix Gas. In this particular instance, with respect to bill number 350017, St. Thomas Gas, the proposed lessee, has been operating at the sub-base location since 1968. The current owners have owned the company since 1990. The formal name for the company, again, is Suntech Group, Inc. The company provides services to St. Thomas consumers under the trade name St. Thomas Gas and provides services on St. Croix to its consumers under the trade name St. Croix Gas. The lease under consideration today is for the St. Thomas location at Subbase. The company has only one line of business, which is the retail sale of liquefied petroleum gas for governmental, commercial, and residential customers throughout the United States Virgin Islands. St. Thomas Gas has been at the current location again since its formation as a company in 1968. This lease will extend the existing term of its tenancy at the same site. Suntech has a similar site near the former Hess refinery on the South Shore of St. Croix. The company has 9 employees on St. Croix and 6 employees on St. Thomas. The company is the main provider of liquefied natural gas for several governmental entities, including the Department of Education, the Bureau of Corrections, and the Department of Human Services, among others. The company is also very competitive in the local commercial and residential liquefied natural gas market. In the future, the ownership of and management of Suntech sees itself as benefiting from the continued economic growth in the territory while increasing its market share across its entire consumer base. Thank you. That is the extent of my testimony.
Thank you, Attorney Rames. The representative for A9 Trucking, Inc. and Sarneal Brothers Virgin Islands Incorporated, doing business as VI Recycling Company. Attorney Jennifer Jones, you may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairwoman of the 35th.
Please recognize the testifier's mic or pull the mic closer to you.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairwoman of the 35th Legislature's Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, other committee members, non-committee members, legislative staff present, the members of the viewing and listening audience. I am Jennifer Jones. I'm legal counsel for A9 Trucking Enterprises and Sonnelly Brothers, Inc., doing business as VI Recycling. VI Recycling is the lessee of the proposed lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, acting through its Commissioner of the Department of the Department of Property and Procurement, and A9 Trucking Enterprises and Sonnelly Bro, Inc., doing business as VI Recycling. For parcel number 1-19, Estate Bovoni, numbers 1 and 2, Frenchman's Bay Quarter, St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. A9 Trucking and Sonnelly Bro VI formed VI Recycling as a fully licensed Virgin Islands partnership in 2004. VI Recycling provides recycling services for the Government of the Virgin Islands, primarily in processing and recycling the territory's scrap metal. VI Recycling also performs demolition and dismantling, as well as hazardous waste removal services for various Virgin Islands agencies and private entities. Since 2004, VI Recycling has processed and transported more than 250,000 metric tons of scrap metal out of the territory to its shredder steel mill in the mainland for final processing and recycling into steel. VI Recycling is proud of the significant impact it has made to the Virgin Islands, both in terms of providing a vital solution for waste disposal service and in helping the territory to achieve 2 critical environmental goals. One is to reduce a significant waste product, and the second is to protect the environment by allowing for recycling of scrap metal waste into steel. For a territory with limited land space for waste disposal, these achievements are critical factors in advancing economic growth and contributing to the overall good health and welfare of this territory. VI Recycling, however, cannot continue providing these vital services without the certainty of a long-term lease. The purpose of the lease is to allow VI Recycling to continue to operate a processing facility on parcel number 1-19, Estate Bovoni, to collect, process, and sell scrap metals. Parcel number 1-19 is located at the Bovoni landfill and is sufficiently close to other waste disposal operations to make the location unique and necessary for VI Recycling operations. The lease will ensure the sustainability of VI Recycling's operations and the performance of a critical function of the government. As for the lease terms, those are mutually beneficial to VI Recycling and the government of the Virgin Islands. The lease went through a long and thoughtful negotiation process. The standard provisions for all government contracts are contained in the contract as well. We now conclude our testimony, but remain open to responding to any of your questions. And I believe Kevin Roffler, who is the managing partner of VI Recycling, is also on Teams at this time. We thank you for giving us this opportunity to make our presentation to you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Jones. It appears as if we are having some challenges with Teams because there's no one up on Teams. So I'm going to take a quick 2-minute recess so we could clearly understand what's happening. The committee stands in recess for 2 minutes. The Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance is back on the record. Apparently, we are having technical difficulties with Teams. When I left here on Friday, we did not get one request for Teams. So if the Teams does not work today, we're going to have to remove VIA from the agenda. We need to move on with this meeting. And I am going to ask the representatives. So, Attorney Jones, it appears that you asked for someone else to come up and...
Yes, Kevin Ruffler. He's the manager who can address technical questions with regard of the senators. So.
Okay, well, did you guys request this before?
Sorry, no,
Okay,
not until
so
this morning.
that's a challenge. So,
Yeah.
you know, when we have our meetings, it's important that we know what's before us so our technical staff can make the necessary adjustments. That's how our meetings flow effectively. So we're going to go to the next testifiers, which is, so VIA is not here, and at some point, if they don't get up on Teams, when this testimony is done, we're going to make a motion to remove them from the agenda. So we're going to go to who's testifying on behalf of Ace Trucking and Trash Removal.
I am Kadeem Benjamin.
You have to speak up a little bit.
Kadeem Benjamin.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin, you may proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Honorable. Excuse me. Good morning, Honorable Donna Fred Gregory, Chairperson's Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, and the 45th Legislature of the Virgin Islands. We at Ace Trucking and Trash Removal request the lease on parcel number 124, Subbase, St. Thomas, VI, and that we have a lease renewal for long term. Ace Trucking has been serving the Virgin Islands and the community in partnership with another trucking company for over 25 years. In 2018, Mr. Isaac and myself took it upon ourselves to move forward and created Ace Trucking and Trash Removal Services. And we have been continuing serving the Virgin Islands. Since we started working in 2018, we've been working hand in hand with the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority in striving to keep the community clean. We asked the 35th Legislature to extend the contract for the lease on parcel number 124 Subbase, St. Thomas. As we press forward, we have the aim in which we would like to continue to expand our businesses on St. Thomas and throughout the Virgin Islands. Also in helping to employ individuals and continue to keep the island clean as much as possible. And we thank you for the time.
Thank you for your testimony. And again, we're not seeing VIA on Teams. We're going to proceed with the meeting. I would like to share that for the Department of Property and Procurement, as well as the testifiers, we've asked our Post-Audit Division to prepare a summary of the leases that's before us today. All senators should have received a copy of the summary of the leases. And within our summary of the leases, we have indicated the present value of the revenue, the potential revenue of the leases that's before us, basically with using the CPI multiplier, as well as there's also another table using the average inflation rate as to the potential revenue of these leases before us. Over the years, we've approved leases without really having a true perspective on what the leases are worth to the GVI. So as we look at the lease for Suntech Group, we see that the based on the calculation of the inflation rate, this lease is present value could be worth up to the current present value is $502,000 with the CPI multiplier and the present value. It could and inflation, it could be up to some $403,000. So there is fluctuating because money today doesn't look like money tomorrow. So these are things that we have to consider as we contemplate these leases. So as we go through them, I'm just asking my colleagues to look at the analysis as it relates to the cost of money and the present value of these leases and how inflation will impact these leases that's before us down the road. Colleagues, we have 3 entities before us, and we're going to hear from them because we've moved to one block. They believe that's 7 minutes. 7 minutes? I'm always in tune with the consensus. So we're going to move to a 7-minute round for all of these leases that's before us, with hopes that at some point VIA would be able to get on. If they're unable to get on, then somewhere in the middle we're going to have to make a motion to remove VIA from the today's agenda. And we will, as we have the discussion, we will definitely look at the, like I said, the inflation rate, the present value, et cetera, of the leases that's before us. There is one lease that's before us where I think it is it VI Recycling? Yes, it's VI Recycling. This lease was sent down in the 34th legislature, and it has since been resent because it was not heard. It was sent down, I believe, in November of 2022. And we are noting that the business license has since expired. So I wish to ask Mr. Vincent Richards, do we have an updated business license for VI Recycling?
Senator, good morning. Good question. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Can we please have a copy of it before we make our final decision here today?
I will have it sent to me or sent to you or your staff and your staff.
Yeah, we need to have that, please. Okay, and that helps us as this is why it's important for us to do these analysis, so senators will be aware as to what's exactly what's before us and what's missing and from what's not missing, okay? All right, so colleagues, we're going to a 7-minute round, and we're going to start with our president of the institution, Senator Novalee Francis Jr. Senator Francis, you're recognized for your 7 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I believe that's Senator. I'm sorry, Senator Joseph, did you ask for a point of inquiry? Yeah, you may proceed with your point of inquiry. 1 minute, Senator. My apologies.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I did say it softly, but I'm glad that you heard it and remembered. Pleasant good day to everyone. I wanted to ask a question before we jump into our line of questioning with property and procurement. I noted that the Attorney General's office indicated that the department has not submitted an appraisal report. And I know you're not required to present 3 appraisal reports, but I do want to ask, when was the last appraisal done for any of these properties to determine its value? Because the chairwoman talked about the value of the dollar. So we want to assure that we are getting the best value for these property. We understand that these are small businesses, and we want to assure that we're doing our very best to promote small business enterprise. But Mr. Richards, if you could kindly indicate for us when the properties have been appraised, and when was the last appraisal of any of the properties here?
Good question, Senator. Good morning. Vincent Richards, Property and Procurement. One particular property here was appraised or reappraised, and that was the St. Thomas Gas. I would answer that by saying that previously St. Thomas Gas was paying a rate of $1,500 to the government of the Virgin Islands, and now they're going to be paying a rate of $4,500 per month to the Virgin Islands. So that's almost a threefold increase for the St. Thomas Gas property, which was appraised. So that one specifically was appraised, and I could get you a copy of the appraisal report if you give me. Through the chair. Specifically...
through the chair, yes. Provide the appraisal report because the appraisals have a lifespan of about 6 months, typically. 6 months. That's what a licensed appraisal indicated to us here, to me. So the property appraisals will be helpful for us to assure that we are doing the very best and justice for the government property. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. And again, I think the senator's question is appropriate, and that is why it's so important for us to have these analyses so we could know what's before us. So just for future reference, we will continue to conduct these post-audit analyses. So if we have issues with expired leases, please ensure that once you're coming before the committee, that you bring the information if you don't have it prior to the meeting. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to start with Senator, Mr. President, Senator Novalee Francis Jr., you're recognized for your 7 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning to you, my colleagues. Good morning to the representative here. And certainly, this opportunity to be able to bring these measures before us because it's to the economic development.
Senator Francis, we are having technical difficulties on this end. We cannot hear you. Please hold the senator's time. Put the senator's time back. Let's hear you again. Don't start running his time until we get this straightened out. Could you speak, Senator, so we could hear you and hear what's happening, because you're coming in choppy.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is the mic.
Yeah. We're going to have to take a recess. We really need to test these, do the tests prior to our meetings. This is a little frustrating when we get to this point and this is occurring. The committee stands in recess for 2 minutes.
the nature of man. It's the earth man. Rasta man. I listen to the first.
What is a Rasta man? The man we set the plan. The man we touch the street. Love and bless up everyone.
Six Productions.
The Committee on Budget, Appropriations and Finance is back on the record. We really want to apologize for the technical difficulties that we're experiencing today. We are experiencing issues with our bandwidth, so we have to be mindful of the use of the bandwidth internally within the institution when we have these meetings. So hopefully we've been able to address that issue with our bandwidth challenges, because, you know, there's just so much going on. There's lots of work going on. So let's see if we can regroup on this. But I've since learned that Attorney Kevin Rames, so I'm going to ask the first speaker, Senator Novalee Francis Jr., to hold off, because I understand that Attorney Kevin Rames will speak on behalf of VIRE. So we want to thank him for stepping up to the plate. Attorney Rames, you may proceed with your testimony on the portion of the telecommunication tower and bunker in building number 1, suite 2, parcel number 6, Recovery Hill, Company Quarter, St. Croix. You may proceed on behalf of VIRE.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Chair Fred Gregory, members of the committee, members of the 35th Legislature and their staff, and the listening and viewing audience. My name is Kevin Rames, and I'm speaking on behalf of Paul Karupas, the Senior Director of Corporate Affairs for the Virgin Islands Telephone Corporation and its wireless affiliate, Vitelecom Cellular, Inc., known locally as VIA. I'm appearing today as counsel for VIA to speak to you in support of the lease for a portion of the telecommunications tower and bunker at building number 1, suite 2 of parcel 6, Estate Recovery Hill, Company Quarter, St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, consisting of a telecommunications tower and a 9-foot by 8-foot room and bunker, all Zone P for public. As this committee knows, VIA produces a full suite of telecommunications and entertainment services for both business and residential markets, including wireline and wireless voice services, fixed and mobile broadband, and cable television services offered over a hybrid fiber coaxial wireless network and state-of-the-art wireless network serving St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. VIA maintains a 150-foot tower with 7 antennas on Recovery Hill to provide wireless services to the areas including Christiansted, Estate Humbug, Southside Road, Grain, Beeston Hill, Cantonment, Catherine's Rest, Estate Buttsburg, and Lowry Hill. Year lease that is before the legislature at this time allows us to implement long-term investments, including 5G services. The network will maintain high-quality services for VIA's customers. This lease is the result of productive discussions with the staff of the Department of Property and Procurement. VIA appreciates their hard work, dedication, and professionalism. The lease includes an option for 2 additional 5-year terms, which is consistent with industry standards throughout the territory, as well as in the mainland United States. The Attorney General's Office has affirmed that VIA is in good standing with all of its licenses and permits, supporting documents. They were all, of course, included in the package of materials shared with the committee. I would also note that VIA has numerous leases with the Department of Property and Procurement, and has always been a good tenant in good standing. I appreciate the committee's consideration of this lease. Request approval. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to testify on behalf of VIA, and I'm available to answer questions concerning this lease agreement. Thank you.
Okay, so the struggle is real. Okay, the first senator, I believe it was Senator Novalee Francis to speak, but he had to step out of the room, and I'm not seeing Senator James. Is Senator Carrion? Senator Carrion, are you, I think I'm seeing Senator Carrion. Senator Carrion, you're recognized for your 7 minutes. And thank you, Mr. Reams. Attorney Reams.
Thank you.
Yes, you may proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to you, good to my colleagues, testifiers, and the viewing and listening audience, U.S. Virgin Islands. I do have a few questions. Like always, it's great to have before us business owners and entrepreneurs and partners within the business sector that want to.
Okay, Senator
these
Carrion?
agreements.
Senator Carrion? Senator Carrion.
Yes, ma'am.
I think the boogeyman has got us today. We can hardly hear the information coming out of St. Croix. You are breaking up. We just took a recess. We really need to get these through with these leases. However, it's extremely difficult for our stenographer and, of course, the viewing audience to hear what we're talking about today coming from the other end. What we're going to do is, until hopefully we'll get the issues with the bandwidth resolved. So I'm going to start with, please, the senator's time, start over. But what we're going to do until we could see if we could free up some bandwidth issues that we have in our chambers and in our committee room in the St. Croix district, we are going to start with the senators in the St. Thomas, St. John district. So Senator James Sr., we're going to start with him, and then we're going to go to Senator DeGraff, Senator Fonseca, then we'll try again, and if that doesn't work, then we'll go to the other senators and see if we could catch up on the other end. But we need to move forward with this meeting, so that's the way we're going to proceed today. So senators, please bear with us as we have to make a few changes with who goes first, second and third, etc. And let's see if we could work together to accommodate the testifiers that's before us this morning. So, Senator Giovanni James Sr., we're going to recognize you now for your 7 minutes. So you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Greetings to the people of the U.S. Virgin Islands. I don't think I will need my entire 7 minutes because I think this block is straightforward. First off, I want to say thank you to all the business owners who we have before us today. Thank you for your service to the people of the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I think most of these are just asking for an extension. However, while I was going through the documents, I think it's for ACE trucking and trash removal, I'm just going to ask property and procurement. I saw where the certificate of liability insurance, is that up to par?
Good morning. Vincent Richards, Property and Procurement. As of submission, it was current, but I can tell you that we do inspect our properties every 30 days, and that is something that we will be looking for, and that is required to be up to date every time we go and inspect every 30 days. So, as of submittal, it was current.
Okay. Because I saw here February 12, 2023, so just stay on top of that. And another thing is, through the analysis from post-audit in reference that no certificate of good standing was included in the packet, I'm not sure if that was submitted. Was it submitted?
For which tenant, Senator, please?
It's trucking and trash removal.
According to the report, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong report.
So while he's looking for that information, let me just make it clear I have no issues helping small businesses in the territory. We just want to make sure we have our ducks in a row. So don't take it as me going against the grain. But we just want to make sure that things need to be submitted. And based on the post-audit analysis, no certificate of good standing was included in the packet.
Senator, if I may answer, factually, you cannot get a business license unless you have a certificate of good standing. So I'm assuming if they have a current business license that they did at the time of submittal have a certificate of good standing.
Makes sense, of course. But we still want to see that document. But you're right, absolutely correct. And as far as A9 Trucking Enterprises, I know we had a list of stuff that were expiring in 2022, and I'm not sure if anyone asked that before, but at the time of submittal, most of them was in June, certificate of good standing, June 30th, 2022. But long story short, the business license, 10/31/2022 is when it expired. So I'm assuming that is up to par, and based on what you said earlier, in order to get the business license, you have to have a letter of good standing.
Yes, Senator.
Okay. But as far as submitting updated records, just submit updated records to us.
Yes, Senator. I believe I was asked previously about one for VI recycling, and I've since submitted a copy to the chair.
No problem. And as far as VIA, I really don't really have any questions for VIA. It's straightforward. My Suntech, I hope everything is okay. As far as Miss Amanda Peguero, I know you mentioned, or in the testimony it was mentioned that she has to attend to family matters, and I hope everything is all right. Like I said, I look forward to supporting all these three measures. It's a no-brainer. And thank you once again for your service and your willingness to do business for the people of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator James. Let's just ask the business owners. Via recycling, I believe that the certificate of liability insurance and the certificate of good standing, based on the information that we have, expired in 6/22. Do you have updated documents?
Or
I keep forgetting who is who. My apologies.
Yes, we submitted the business license. We can as well get the certificate of insurance liability. I believe under the terms of the lease, which is typical, we have to make sure that that's done within 30 days. But there are ongoing concerns, so they do have the insurance. We can make sure that we get those to them if it's not part of the record.
So that we're clear, right? So that we're clear, these are businesses that are ongoing, right? These are not new businesses.
Yes.
Okay, so while I hear what you said, these documents should be up to date because this is like not a new lease or a new entity coming online. Correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And
so if you can ask them to please send the information over, we would appreciate it before we make our decisions. I'm going to ask the same question of Ace Trucking and Trash Removal, your certificate of liability and your certificate of good standing. Do you have that information?
Yes, and they are up to date.
They're up to date.
Yes.
And Mr. Richards, do you have those in your possession?
Actually, here right now, in my possession, no, I do not, Senator.
No, not here, in your possession.
At the office, yes, Senator.
Can you please have them sent over? That's the post-audit report that we shared with you includes all of the deficiencies. So we would need to get them so we could ensure that our package is complete. So once we send them forward to the Rules Committee, everything will be included so we can make decisions based on the information that's before us. Okay?
Will do, Senator.
All right. Senator Fonseca, you're recognized for your 7 minutes.
Thank you. Madam Chair, and pleasant good morning to all the listening audience. The testifiers before us today, Mr. Vincent Richards, Property and Procurement, Attorney Jennifer Jones, A9, Kevin Rains, Vire, and of course we got Kadeem Benjamin and Anthony Isaac. You know, it's so welcoming to actually have a very complete package before you so that we can review and give our consent. You know, congratulations have to go to all of those involved in preparing this package that's before us today. I am very encouraged. I like it when we have such a good package. You know, of course, part of the items that are required is your business license, your certificate of good standing, your trade name registration, your certificate of minimum $1 million liability. So I am definitely going to be relying on the testimony of Mr. Vincent Richards. Madam Chair just questioned about having all of those current. And Mr. Richards, it's your testimony that all of those are current for all of these businesses?
Yes, Senator. The Department of Property and Procurement, through our property inspection program, on a monthly basis, visits each and every one of our tenants, and in our checklist, business license, as well as different licenses that are required to be current or checked. It's not normal to ask a business for their certificate of good standing because it's understood that a certificate of good standing is required to have a business license. So it's not one of it's not one of those documents that are required to be posted in your business, but a business license is the superseding document that is required.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. And you know, I want to also point out that all of these businesses here before us today actually have been doing business in the territory for a long time. Antilles Gas, I noticed it was 1968. And I'm so encouraged when we have locals coming before us. I wanted to go to page 6, particularly with St. Thomas Gas, Suntech, with the fire and extended coverage. That particular one requires that all buildings on the premises are insured against loss or damage by fire, windstorm, and earthquake. And particularly being that that's a gas company, is that building insured against fire and earthquake and windstorm?
Yes, Senator. Particularly, yes, Senator, in a nutshell.
And then also, I'd like to ask Mr. Kevin Rains about VIRE. Is VIRE also on page 6? Is that insured for fire, earthquake, and windstorm?
Yes, Senator, it is. It's required not only for this lease, but also for various contracts with which it is involved. So it does keep a full slate of insurance cover.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rains. You're breaking up a little bit. I think we have a little communication issue, but I did hear clearly that your answer was yes. And, you know, at the appropriate time, I will definitely be making a favorable vote. It's so welcoming to have local businesses that have been here doing business, and all of you are decent, respectable, hardworking, and I congratulate this. Madam Chair, thank you very much. I return my time.
Thank you, Senator Fonseca. Just to follow up on the Senator's line of questioning. So all of the leases that's before us, or the leases that come before us, the limited liability coverage for all is $1 million, regardless of the potential liability issues of the business?
The minimum is 1 million.
Okay, so do you, for instance, in the case of Suntec, do you require them to have a liability insurance that's more than the million?
We haven't required it in this particular document, but we've seen their insurance policy, and it covers a lot more than $1 million. I believe it starts somewhere south of like $5+ million.
Okay, and I
Not
asked a
south, I'm sorry, north.
question. I asked a question because of the type of business. This is a company that's providing, what do you call it? Let's just say gas.
Propane gas.
Propane gas.
Liquefied
gas,
propane.
liquefied propane gas. So I would imagine that from the Department of Property and Procurement and that consideration should be given for a higher limited liability coverage. All businesses are not created equal, and decisions need to be made. I mean, certainly they are good business people, so they recognize the importance of, and it looks like we're not seeing St. Croix anymore. Well, we see Mr. Reeves. Okay. They recognize the importance of having a higher limited liability coverage based on your testimony. But from the government's end, I think it's important for the government as well to look at the overall liability of the businesses and make some different determinations. I just don't think the requirement of $1 million coming from the government to them is sufficient. That should be part of the discussion as you move your leases forward. So let's keep that in mind as we do our work. Senator DeGraff, are you ready? You're recognized for your 7 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, testifiers, all viewing, listening, and present. I was asking to, one of my questions was about the insurance also. St. Thomas Gas, Suntec is on the back side or the front side of Antilles Gas.
They're next door to each other.
Okay, and that was one of my concerns too in regards to the insurance being $1 million. Because you have two gas companies back to back. And I know back in the 70s, they had a major disaster in that area. Not to put it on any of these businesses, but again, so, and like you said, they're north of $5 million, so that's good to hear. Do any of these leases, renewals, have any liens on them?
Have any liens?
Liens, correct.
Currently, no.
No? Okay, good. Who asks for the terms of the leases? 10 years, 2 5-year? That was what Property Procurement is offering, or that's what they requested?
We start at 10 years as a start, but some business models require or request more based on their capital investment, based on other mitigating factors.
Okay, because I know we are looking at a 10-year renewal. So for ACE, are you good with 10-year, 5-year renewal, 2 5-year, or you're looking more?
As it stands right now, we're fine with the 10 year.
Okay, cool. And also for all the other entities, they're fine with the 10-year, 2 5-year renewals? If you could answer, yeah. For your entity, Suntec, you're good? You're with A9, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. So for A9, are you good with the 10-year, 2 5-year?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 10-year.
Okay, good. As long as you're good with them, and I don't know if the St. Croix N is down right now. Okay, also, Mr. or Deputy Commissioner, as a part of the contract, do you do an inflation where you add the CPI as indicated in this analysis here? Is what percentages do you use for that?
We follow the Consumer Price Index
Right.
by the Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and that number is capped. The increases are capped at 3%, so we can't raise the rent more than 3% annually.
Mm-hmm.
And in normal times, it floats somewhere about 1.5, 2%. I believe last year it was extraordinary, and I believe inflation moved somewhere like 8%, 6 to 8%. So,
Right.
but either which way, it'll be capped at 3% annually.
Okay, so
per
with
year.
the post auditors analysis, you have a copy of that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and so then those numbers used in that part of the post auditors analysis confirms with what's in the contract?
Yes, it appears that way.
Okay, because that's good information because normally we don't get that consumer price index shown, but since it's already added into the contract and signed off, it's good information to have and possibly to even have prior to. Again, now for VIA, I don't know, again, the gentleman for VIA, when you talk about having the antenna in a bunker, 9 feet by 8 feet, could you describe how that is? A concrete bunker, a shell, or is as a base for the tower, or is it a facility that it could store equipment in? Oh, yeah, okay, you can answer. Yeah, I guess.
The property in question, the tower is owned by the government of the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
And it allows people to put their antennas on the tower. There's also a bunker at the base of the tower where all the telecommunication equipment is held. And in each of in the bunker, it has little rooms that allows different. It allows prospective telecommunication company to place their prospective equipment into the suites within the bunker.
Okay.
And they're renting one of the suites inside of the bunker facility.
Okay, got it. And again, like I say, existing already.
Yes.
And I think finally for ACE, A9, and Suntech, basically, what is your future model for expansion or maintaining of we get these properties and we keep them as a trash moval place, and it stays in one way for 10 years and extended 5 years and 5 years. Do you have any expansion in mind for upgrading your facility or for more trucks, or putting in a building for mechanics? Also for ACE in forward as to how you rather than staying one way for years. So is there anything in your plans going forward? And if not, it's not. But I would like to ask that to the individuals.
Well, as for VI recycling, I'm not aware of any plans for expansion at this point.
1 minute.
Yeah, I believe that the revenue stream is sort of constant, and the lease certainly does not provide at this time for any facility construction to take place.
Okay, good. ACE?
As far for ACE, we do plan on expanding. One of the things we do plan on looking into is also with more equipment, as well as working with other offshore
30
companies.
seconds.
When it comes to recycling the island more with both plastic and cardboard, which that is one of the largest factors of what has the growth in the landfill. So that is one of our plans for expansion.
Okay, great. And that's good to hear. And again, like I said, I don't know if anyone here is for the Suntech to pass on. No? Okay. So thank you for the time, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Just for the sake of the discussion, as we contemplate the CPI multiplier in particular, I'm going to ask the post auditor to share how we came up with the CPI multiplier. There is some historical, he looked at it from a historical perspective and then came forward, but I want to give him an opportunity to share with the testifiers as well as the listening and viewing audience how we came up with the information that's before us today. You may proceed, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Post Auditor.
Pick it up. Testing. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. The contracts speak to the use of the consumer price index. What I actually did was to go back historically and say, if we were to apply the formula that is given in the contracts, what would be the multiplier? What would be the multiplier? What the contract does, it says that the rate will be adjusted based on the year before consumer price index numbers. Talk about a base rate and a current rate. When you use those two rates and you find the quotients of those two rates, you divide the current rate by the base rate, you'll get what is called a multiplier. And the multiplier is what they use to calculate the increase in the rents. You will see that for historically, let's try 2022, the multiplier would be 1.0658. And if you multiply your current rate by that number, that will give you your new annual rate. If you divide the new annual rate by 12, you will get the monthly rate. So what we did, because we don't know what the consumer price index will be going forward, because that's future, I basically tried to figure out what it was in the past. And I said that historically, if I was to use historic data to kind of adjust the rents, I will know what the rents will be. What is very interesting is that the multiplier for 2022, which is 1.0658, if you look at that, it really speaks about in 2022, the rent would have been increased by about 6.5%. And if you go across the table, you would see what the average inflation rate for 2022, based on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it would have been very high. 2022, inflation was 8% on average. The quoted rate that you usually see for inflation is 6.5%, but the average inflation rate across all 12 months was about 8%. And if I was to apply the multiplier in that year, that would have meant that the rent would have increased by 6.5%, which would have been less than both the stated rate for inflation and the average inflation rate. One of the things that is also interesting is that if you go back to maybe 2013, we see in 2013 inflation was about 1.5%. The rate that they state is 1.5%, but if we were to use a multiplier, we would have only adjusted by about 1.3%. So it's very interesting. I think that this calculation is actually beneficial to the companies because their increase is always below the inflation rate. Madam Chair, I hope that is a good explanation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and absolutely it is. It's important that we, at the end of the day, as we make these decisions, we are able to see how the government is actually doing and what revenues they're actually generating from these leases and what revenues they can potentially generate from these leases. So most definitely important information. So let's see if we can go now to our colleagues in the St. Croix district. Not seeing, let's see who's there. I believe I'm seeing Senator, that's Senator Carrion didn't go. So let's try again, Senator Carrion. You're recognized for your 7 minutes. We're not hearing you at all now.
Good afternoon to you, to my colleagues.
Okay.
Good afternoon to the testifiers and the people of the U.S. Virgin Islands. I think one of the things I like about when we have these hearings is the fact that it's always good to hear and see our business sector coming forward, engaging, renewing leases, or new businesses that are opening and starting. So that's always exciting to hear. In this case, we have renewals before us. I don't really have much to really ask. I stand in support of each of the bills, but I do have just a few questions. Regards to bill number 35-0018, 89 Truck and Enterprise. I know you're currently doing just metal recycling, and I think I heard you mention a little bit. Can you tell us what are your plans of expansion to other type of recycling products?
I'm not aware of any plans to increase the types of services, but they do offer a wide variety of environmental services in terms of transporting certain types of environmental waste off island, especially waste that cannot be stored in the landfills. But so I think it already incorporates a full gamut of the type of environmental waste that can be transported. But in terms of the other things besides the demolition and the removal of the scrapped metal items, at this point, that really is the bulk of its business, and that really carries a lot of opportunity for the business to be fully versatile as it is. So I don't think that right now, as I know, that there is no other facility. As I explained before, if within the lease itself, within the next 10 years, there's no plans for construction. If there is, we always have an opportunity to amend the release to allow for a new or different type of facility. But that's what the company specializes in, and that's what it will continue to do at the very best of its ability for the next 10 years.
I understand that the property is unimproved parcel. It's not developed. So what it will be used for? Is it storage? Is it parking? Is it what will be happening on the property?
Well, they will continue to collect scrap metals. You know, your abandoned cars. They're also part of the abandoned car program for the government of the Virgin Islands. They're going to continue to do those things in terms of receiving certain types of waste. And they're able to do that with an unimproved property. This is a real bare bones industrial facility operation. It's a lot of processing, and the processing will continue to take place in preparing them for shipment off island. And the off island facility is where the actual shredding occurs, and that occurs in New York, where it's another plant that actually shreds it down and transform it or recycles it into steel, which is another, really the bulk of the major operations of the company, where it's broken down. But for the Virgin Islands, the first part of the processing takes place here in the Virgin Islands. So,
Mr. Richards, let me ask you, what's the zoning of that area?
Well, right now it really is in the R1 zone. So it is on the other side of the landfill where there are no of the Bovoni Road. I'm not sure of the name of that road, but it's on the southern side of the Bovoni Road, and it's part of the Bovoni landfill where these operations take place, where there are no residences in the area. I believe the nearest other type of business would be the gas station that's not too far from there.
Okay. Is it Deputy or Assistant Commissioner Richards? I'm sorry.
Deputy
Vincent,
Commissioner.
how are you?
Deputy Commissioner, sir.
We're not hearing you on this side, sir.
Deputy Commissioner, sir. Senator.
Oh, now we can hear you. Good.
Senators, it's our Deputy Commissioner.
5-019 for VIA, lease agreement with VIA. I noticed that in your testimony, you did not provide the square footage or acreage. Can you share that with us? And if there's a reason why that wasn't provided like the others in your testimony?
Very good question, Senator. The facility is a bunker, a concrete bunker, that within the facility, the bunker is owned by the government of the Virgin Islands. and the tower is owned by the government of the Virgin Islands, and they are allowed to put
1 minute.
They're allowed to place their equipment, their telecommunication equipment, in one of the rooms or suites within the bunker, and they're allowed to put their antennas on the tower that's owned by the government as well. So there is dimensions of the room, but that's the only specific space that is being rented. So if you give me 1 second, the room that they rent is
30 seconds.
Is 9 feet by 8 feet, Senator.
Okay, thank you for providing information that gives us a more clarity of what is happening. And lastly, for AC trucking and trash removal, you spoke about in your testimony about expanding and hiring new personnel. Can you share with us what are your plans of expansion, and how many people do you currently have within your business, and how many you plan to hire?
Kadeem for Ace Trucking. We currently have 5 employees, and by the end of this year, we plan on increasing that to about 12. And as far as expansion, we're currently working with the VI Waste Management and assisting them in removing residential trash throughout the island and disposing of it at the landfill. And like I mentioned, our expansion aspect is to not only dispose of the trash, but try to get to the point where a lot of it can be sorted, and the cardboard and plastic, instead of it going to the landfill, it could be shipped off island.
Good. Thank you for that, Madam Chair. Thank you for the time. And I stand in support of these measures. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Carrion. So, Mr. Benjamin, based on your last comment, are you saying that you are actually working with Waste Management Authority to begin some level of recycling?
As it stands now, we're actually working with a few companies off island, trying to find a company that best suits our needs. And I'm actually gathering the information so we could have a conversation with Waste Management. But seeing that as we are hands-on and we know that what the bulk of the waste is, we're just trying to figure the best ways to tackle the entirety of the project before we present it to them.
So you said cardboard and what else?
Plastic.
And plastic.
Because as it stands at the moment,
All right.
metal is taken care of.
Right. So, Mr. Richards, I want to go back to a question that the previous speaker asked about the zoning. So basically, is it that what's the zoning of the landfill area?
Senator, part of the landfill is zoned industrial, part of it is zoned residential, part of it is zoned public. I was just here whispering offline. I believe the area has been rezoned. I believe there is an amendment, I believe, that was put in. I want to remember Senator Berry's name was attached to it.
Whoa.
where the entire area was changed, but I don't have the document. I can't recall, but
Okay.
I couldn't. Correct.
And I understand what you're saying, but I think that it's important that as we make these decisions, we know exactly what we're making decisions on. If we have areas that are still zoned R1, in that area where we operating these types of businesses, it's important that the government make it right, because when businesses or individuals that own private property decide that they want to operate outside of the zone, they have to come before the Department of Planning and Natural Resources and do the right thing. So the government should be no exception, right?
Yes, Senator. But I also want to believe that, well, our zoning R1, R2 does allow for certain operations to go on as well at a residential zone property as
Okay,
well.
so if you could just check that for us to make sure that, we making the right decisions, because at the end of the day, there are homes on the other side of the street of where these businesses are being conducted, and we always want to err on the right side of the law and err on the right side of our citizenry. I think that's important for us to do. So whatever we need to do to right correct is important that we do that. So I want to thank Senator Carrion for bringing that question before us. Is Senator Johnson? Senator Johnson? Senator Johnson, you're recognized for your... I believe there's a point of inquiry. Senator Fonseca, 1 second, Senator Johnson. Senator Fonseca, you're recognized for your point of inquiry.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Jones, I just wanted to follow up with you. The property south of the Bavoni Road, right? With A9 trucking, I want to know your policy. If someone dispose of an air conditioner or some old wire, what's your policy, and does people go down there and recycle that copper, etc., and pull out a compressor out of the refrigerator and stove? What's your policy on those items?
I believe for VI recycling, they are specific in terms of what items they choose. It's really, we're looking for scrap metal, and that usually consists of old automobiles and old equipment, things like that. So in terms of an air condition, those would have to be, I believe, would abide under the regular rules of what goes into or what is not appropriate for the landfill.
No, I just want to know your policy. Can someone go down there and take out a compressor out of an old refrigerator and not be in trouble? What's your policy on that?
I'm not sure. And again, I think that's outside of the
Mr. Richards, Deputy Commissioner, can you answer to that?
Senator, I don't have an answer for you for that question, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So that's tied to the operations of the landfill area. Senator Johnson, you recognize for your 7 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to my colleagues. Good afternoon to the viewing and listening audience, and good afternoon to the testifiers. I really want to applaud Mr. Isaac and his partner for showing up. It's important that business owners that are asking for these agreement to show up, because it's not everything the attorneys can answer, because the attorneys don't work on that site. So I want to applaud you two young men, and I definitely, when the time comes, I'm not a part of this committee, but when it reaches to me, I will definitely support you guys, and I really appreciate you coming. I would like to start off my question with, I think it's Mr. Benjamin. You spoke about expansion. Do you guys have any desire or looking into the tire recycling and trying to assist with getting some of these tires off the island?
I have not looked into the tires in depth. However, there are companies that does the same plastic as well, that does rubber, and they recycle the tires, and there's a way that they use them to reuse them in recycling to make mats, and in some cases soles for shoes. But I'll make note that that's something that I could look into.
I think it's an adventure you should definitely look into. We have a big problem here, and Waste Management could surely show you those tires, and it's a hazardous site when you see all of those tires. And maybe if there's a way that you guys could adventure into that direction, would probably help you. And I appreciate you guys coming here. Mr. Vincent Richards, in this contract agreement with Ace Trucking, I think we're talking about some improvement in the structure and the property. And there's a rate % increase of 3%. But when that construction is complete, do you have an analysis as to what that lease agreement would be like? Because I think they might have produced plans and stuff to you guys already.
Good question, Senator. The current property is the previous tenant had left the property in a state. They're not in business anymore. Mr. Isaac and his partner asked to take over the property, and they're going to be investing, I would assume, the bulk of their upfront investment in terms of cleaning the property and clearing it of old trucks, old equipment, and probably a lot of metal, scrap metal on the property. There is an office that needs to be demoed and rehabilitated, and there is a mechanic shop or shed that needs to be demoed and rebuilt as well. So at this point, I mean, with the cost of building going up every day, I cannot imagine what it's going to cost them in the end of their term. But that was one of the reasons why the lease is structured in the manner in which it was, because it was either the GVI itself was going to pay to clean the property and refurbish the property, or they were going to undertake it. So that's why for 36 months they have a reduced rent structure that gives them the breathing room to do what they need to do to get the property back up to par. I hope that answers your question, Senator, or gives you a
It
bit of
sure do, and I
perspective.
appreciate that you're trying to work with these young men that are trying to establish themselves and, get a business going. Thank you very much for that information. And Suntech, Attorney Kevin Rains, does your company receive any kind of any benefits from Economic Development Commission?
No, it does not. It pays all of its taxes on time.
Never applied for any?
My understanding is that it has not, and it does not intend to.
And I definitely would have liked to see Via here. You're representing them, but I don't think you could answer some of these questions because we're trying to do a lease agreement here with Via, but every day you hear folks complaining about the kind of service they're receiving. In fact, on my way here today, I heard some folks complaining that they're not even getting the hurricane channel now, the weather channel, and might have to be looking to pay additional service for that. You aware of any of that stuff?
You can be sure that I will pass the message on to the appropriate people at VIA. My understanding is that they attempted to come on through Microsoft Teams, but weren't able to do so. But now that this matter that you've just suggested is in the record concerning the Weather Channel, I will bring that up to them this afternoon, and I'll make sure that they respond back to you.
Please let them know we have a beautiful facility here, and they're welcome to come and sit in the well and, share some more information, because it's information that the public wants to know. In fact, it's information that their clients, their customers would like to definitely know. And it's scary when people know that we're getting ready to go into a hurricane season, but yet now some folks are saying that they don't have the channel and they might have to pay additional funds. So if we're going to be hitting what people had in the pocket, I think the government need to get its fair share. Do you agree?
I understand, and I will pass the message on.
Thank you very much. And for A9, you spoke about the scrapping material and stuff like that. And again, I like when business owners here. And I understand you're talking about
1 minute.
There's some private sectors in the area. In your scrapping of the metal, are you doing any? If you know Attorney Jones, are you aware if they're doing scrapping by cutting with torch, and if they're cutting up the cars and that they're dismantling to ship it out?
Mr. Kevin Ruffler just recently had open heart surgery, so he wasn't cleared by his doctors to be here. And again,
30
with
seconds.
the problems we had getting him online so he could answer some of those technical questions. And I really can't answer that specific question. I have an idea, but I don't, I'm not certain. So unless Mr. Richards seems to have an answer for that.
Please, go ahead, Mr. Richards.
Good question, Senator. From our observation at the property on a monthly basis, the vehicles are processed where the oils and the coolants and other stuff are removed from the vehicles, and they're crushed into cubes, and then they're packed onto 40-foot or 45-foot long flatbeds, and then they're shipped off island. on a weekly basis.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Ms. Jones, send my prayers to the owner and hope that he recuperate in a timely manner and all goes well with the family. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Senator is, I'm trying to see who's in the chambers in St. Croix. So I'm not seeing Senator Francis. So let's go to Senator Joseph. Senator Carla Joseph, you're recognized for your 7 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and a pleasant good day to you, our colleagues, as well as the viewing and listening audience, as well as the testifiers. I, too, want to just rise and commend the small business owners here who have taken an opportunity to do business with the Virgin Islands government through these leases. I understand, based on the post-audit report, that 3 of the leases are new leases and 1 is a renewal. Is that correct, Mr. Richards?
What was the question? Repeat the question, please, Senator.
How many of these leases are for renewal?
3 of them are existing tenants, and 1 is a new tenant.
Oh, which one is the new tenant?
The new tenant is Ace Trucking, Senator.
And Ace Trucking is here with us today. Okay, so I wanted to just follow up on a question that I have, and it's just my little peeve regarding the zonings. The zonings, these are all public land, is correct?
The question for me or for
Yes, for you, Mr. Richards. Let me just be correct. I'm so sorry. Kindly indicate whether all of these lands are public.
Senator, bear with me a bit. I was here reading the document for Act number 6729 that I just received, that I'm trying to forward to the committee chair, that rezoned the properties from R1 to P public.
Okay, so all of these properties should be public.
All of these, based on 6729, the subject properties were changed to public.
So all of these properties are the one, just so we can be clear, when you said subject, the property that's going to be a lease with Anthony Isaac doing business as Ace Trucking and Trash Removal, that should move from industrial 2 to public, correct?
No, Senator, I think I misspoke, or we're conflating the facts.
So which ones?
For the property for Ace Trucking is zoned industrial, as is, that's in the sub-base industrial area.
Okay.
I was referring to a prior question in reference to VI Recycling. That
for the A9, I'm so sorry, the A9 Trucking.
The company's A9 Trucking and Sarnelli Brothers doing business as a joint venture, doing business as VI Recycling. On that subject property in Bavoni, I have since learned or found a document that showed that it was rezoned from R1 to from residential to public.
Okay, very good. I'm glad we were able to clarify that on the record, because that was one of my major questions. I wanted to ask Mr. Benjamin and or Mr. Isaac, can you indicate to us how long have you been in business here in the Virgin Islands?
Ace Trucking has been in business since 2018. However, my partner has been doing business for a little north of 30 years on the island of St. Thomas. He used to work with Mr. Patrick Charles, or Charlie's Trucking, for several years, and we decided to take the leap of faith and started our own venture.
And you should be applauded for that leap of faith. And we are definitely here to support our small business, especially when you have a vested interest in our community, and your presence here demonstrates that. I also wanted to ask, is this property that is being considered, Mr. Benjamin, I believe it was answered, you're saying that it's sufficient to meet your needs currently, correct?
Currently, yes.
Okay. Are you considering looking at any other properties? Have had discussions with the government?
We've had a brief discussion, but we're trying to take one bite at a time.
Okay, good. You have to crawl before you can walk. Okay, very good. Now, I also wanted to ask if this is for, Suntech is here? Okay, this question is for Suntech. I believe this is in St. Croix. Mr. Reams, you're representing Suntech, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And we noted that the business has been operating since 1968, and the current owners have been operating since 1990, who is having this lease agreement. Kindly indicate for us, Attorney Reams, whether this property, when you negotiated, what was the year an appraisal was done for this property?
1 minute.
Unfortunately, I don't have that information.
Well, maybe Mr. Richards can assist us. Thank you. Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Good morning, Senator. Again.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The subject property for St. Thomas Gas, or Suntech doing business at St. Thomas Gas, the last time we conducted the appraisal for the subject property was in excess of 2 years.
2 years ago.
30 seconds.
And the other properties, sir?
We did not get appraisals for the other
and
three
why
properties.
Not?
I guess we did internal market research ourselves within.
And how is that process held?
How is that process
conducted? What is your methodology and approach? Methodology and approach to doing these internal.
I'll give you an example. I mean,
Time. Madam Chair, I'm so sorry.
I'll give you an example. I mean, when previously VIA was paying $200 monthly, or I guess $2,400 annually for the space. We got in contact with telecommunication companies in the private sector here in the market, and basically found out what they would charge, or what they are charging the GVI, BIT, or other government agencies for using their space and their tower space, and that's what we use as guidance. That is what an appraiser would have done to get the same data. So we did it ourselves internally.
Okay, I just have some concerns about that methodology and approach. I understand, and maybe it's because you may have some financial challenges, but you want to always get something that is certifiable when you're looking at appraisals. Madam Chair, I don't have any further questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Senator Joseph. Very quickly, Mr. Benjamin or Mr. Isaac, so currently you're in business since 2018, correct?
Yes.
So where are you currently conducting your business from?
We're actually currently conducting out of number 124 Subbase. We previously had a piece of property that we were renting from someone in Altona. And then we had an agreement with the previous owner in Subbase.
Okay, so you have not moved onto this property that we're discussing to date. I need clarification because I don't have the number on this. So help me out here.
We're partially there. We're partially there.
You're partially there.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Richards?
Senator, the process for getting a long-term lease can take between 3 to 9 months. That's just the reality of it. The department has the authority to enter into one-year leases with tenants. So what we did was we entered into a one-year lease to give them access to the property so they could start cleaning and clearing the property. And then we also started the process of a long-term lease as well. So I believe they're in the midst of the cleaning and clearing of the property and utilizing the property to some degree, So that's clarification.
That's a reasonable response.
Correct.
I understand that, it does take insurmountable amount of time to move leases through the system. The process is that you work on it, then it goes to the lawyer within your organization, then it goes to the Attorney General's office, then it goes to the Office of the Governor. So it's a minute. So it could create some frustration, and while these businesses are ready to start up, you allow them to move forward. So it almost comes across as if the legislative process is basically, I'm going to use the term, but you know what I'm saying. If they're already there, then, we have small businesses, how do we do the dance? So it really says to us that we really need to, because we cannot continue to create anxiety amongst our small businesses, our businesses overall, right? So that 9-month process, we need to figure out how to streamline that process. Bottom line, that's important, because while they're waiting, they are hedging their bets with improvements, spending their money, etc. So what are the plans, Department of Property and Procurement, and it's not only you in your area, but just overall, because their documents touch a number of agencies, not only you, AG, Government House, on average. I'm going to ask you on average, and then I'm going to ask you what are the conversations around streamlining that process. So on average, how long does it take in the Attorney General's office? Because you watch the flow, so you should have a chronological order of the flow. So how long does it take the AG's office to move it? How long does it take providing that there are no issues, of course, how long does it take the Office of the Governor, etc.?
Is that a question for me, Senator?
Yeah, because you are the person that touched all the documents. And then I'm going to ask them how long it took them.
Well, Senator, to be frank with you, getting a lease done, if both sides arrive at mutual terms, can be as little as 30 days to get it out of our shop. It could take longer if we're back and forth. Once it leaves Department of Property and Procurement, it goes to the Department of Justice. If all our T's are crossed and all our I's are dotted, it's a few days at the Department of Justice. A few. It can
so
be.
Where's the bottleneck?
I believe after it leaves the Department of Justice, it takes some time at the governor's office, and because they have a lot of things that they got going on, and then it takes some time here at the legislature between, the different committees that it has to go through and whatnot. But
okay, so let me ask the impacted individuals. The lease, and this is for ACE. So this lease that's before us, do you recall when you first engaged with the government of the Virgin Islands to where we are today? How long did it take you?
After the year lease was issued, I think it took about 6 months in. We had the discussion about a long-term lease, and we started the process from there.
Okay, so 6 months, but prior to the 6 months, getting to the 1 year lease to get you to because obviously the Department of Property and Procurement, what they do to their credit is they try their best to help the businesses by giving you the 1 year lease because they have the authority to do that. So before that.
It didn't take us much time. I think from the time we submitted the application to doing a meeting to find out exactly what we're looking for, it took us less than 30 days.
Great. And that's, I wanted that to come out on the record that from the property and procurement end, they're doing what they have to do. Is the process, the bureaucracy that goes, through the channel. So you have a comment?
Senator, if I may,
Mr. Richards?
last year was an extraordinary year. It was, last year was extraordinary. And it was extraordinary.
What does that mean? Extraordinary is abroad.
There was an election last year. I mean, there was a point last year at the end or the fall of last year where there was an election going on, both legislative, Senate, and a gubernatorial election. So, that's a reality. But looking forward, we anticipate the process to be shorter.
Okay, so you've given us a really great political answer, but I will share with you that once the leases come, from this committee's perspective, once the leases come and they're tight, we're going to hear them. And coming through the process from as myself serving in a previous capacity, we didn't really sit on documents either. So we have a commitment here from the legislative end to push the documents forward. We just need to figure out on the GVI's end, how do we ensure that the small businesses, the businesses overall, are really able to get their leases processed in a timely fashion, and we don't really create any unnecessary anxiety for our small businesses, our businesses overall, because it does become a little frustrating, based on the time that it takes. You go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add that the added scrutiny that we had here today is good. When I go back to the office, we're going to add a couple points or checkpoints on our checklist to make sure we tighten things up so that when we come here, I believe the last hearing I had here in this committee in the previous legislature, I believe it was like 2 or 3 minute rounds. It was a single round because everything was just moving, that tight. But clearly there's some more scrutiny here, some more checkpoints that we need to check some boxes, and we're going to add them to our process on the front end to make sure when they get here, there's no hiccups and there's no questions. So
absolutely.
I appreciate the scrutiny.
Okay, and it's important that we understand that process improvement is necessary as we do the work. So once you come here, it'll make it easier. So this one took a little longer, but as we move this process along, it'll come a lot easier, and the information will be before us, and we can go back to the 3 minutes, the 2 minutes. Point of inquiry from Senator Fonseca. I see Senator, the vice chair of this committee, actually, Senator Francis Jr. is he's ready. So, Senator Fonseca succinctly, and then we'll go to our last speaker.
Thank you kindly, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I wanted to follow up on the question of the distinguished senator from Bovoni regarding the appraisals. Mr. Vincent Richards, the appraisal, I want to get it clear. You are doing the appraisals in-house, or you're having it done by a certified professional?
Senator, appraisals are not required for leases. They're only required for when we want to sell or purchase property. Nonetheless, it's our practice to, at times, get appraisals to get guidance on value.
So you do it, or you hire someone to do it?
We hire appraisals. We have probably about 4, 5, 6 appraisal companies that we contract to do appraisals for properties.
And approximately how much a year it costs you to do appraisals?
I believe we're budgeted somewhere around $150,000.
Ooh.
And that's not anywhere near enough.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So basically, the other challenge that we have is, and it goes back to what I said earlier, is we don't have an abundance of appraisers here in the territory. So again, we have to make sure that we are able to, we are prepared. We utilize the opportunities to advance these leases so these small businesses can, open their doors and we can see the economic boost in the territory. So I appreciate what you guys do at the Department of Property and Procurement to move these leases along. So, there's a lot of conversations around a lot of things that we don't necessarily have control over. And that's why it's so important for us to look at the present value of and the CPI index so we could determine what, what these leases potentially can generate for this territory. And as I look at the 4 leases that's in front of us, based on the present value, we've seen some 1.2 million. But if we look at the future value, if you will, we can generate a little more than $1.6 million. So there's a lot of potential in this conversation today for the government of the Virgin Islands to generate revenues. Okay, so Senator Francis Jr., you're recognized for your 7 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And real quickly, if I ask a question that was already asked and answered, simply say that, and I'll move on as I have to step out into a meeting real quickly. Again, I'm happy for this opportunity because we're speaking that, in fact, that there's some economic development here by moving these leases on, as well as revenues coming into the government coffers, which aid us in being able to provide services to this community. Deputy Commissioner Richards, is your testimony that in fact all of the entities that came before us are in compliance with the $1 million public liability coverage?
Yes, Senator. Anybody that's in possession or on the property had to have provided us copies of their liability policies and show the GVI as additionally insured.
And it's your testimony that, in fact, this is all completed and in your possession?
Yes, Senator. Yes, Senator.
Very well. And in respect to them being in compliance with our taxes, gross receipt, excise taxes, and everything, or a payment plan that is also validated by Property and Procurement?
No, Senator. The letters of good standing for their franchise taxes come from the Office of the Lieutenant Governor. The Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs are required to get clearance from the Internal Revenue Bureau to verify gross receipts, taxes, and the like. So, one must assume that once they're giving a business license, they are up to date on their taxes and or have a payment plan in place.
Well, I trust that we're not assuming, and in fact, we're validating that have been done. Is that your testimony today?
Yes, Senator. I rely on the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs to validate that before issuing the business license, Senator.
Very well. In regards to the lease revenues that come into the government coffers, is there a separate account, or this actually is deposited into a general fund?
Senator, I'm not a financial whiz, but I believe that it's deposited into the business and commercial account.
Okay. Madam Chair, you're aware of whether or not post audit is able to glean the funding that goes into for this revenue, whether or not it goes into a special account or to the general fund?
Mr. Chair, Mr. President, you're asking the chair a question. You're putting me up on the stand. Yes, the business and commercial account goes to
I'm asking you, the chair, whether or not post audit could
he's not here.
speak to that.
He stepped away, but I can respond.
Okay.
But he's not at the mic. So the business and commercial account sits within the Department of Property and Procurement, and those resources are used to validate or are used for the purposes of the budget for the Department of Property and Procurement as we contemplate our budgets annually. The post auditor is back if you And of course, you got to hold the speaker's time. I don't know if you wish to answer any more, Mr. Posadita, on that. Are you good? Okay, so does that satisfy your question, Mr. Chair?
It does, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, it was just a
Mr.
prelude
President.
to my question to Deputy
It's okay.
Richards, whether or not there's a mechanism or some form of automation to make sure that if there's any delayed payment, that in fact that we're able to account for that during our budget review. Whether or not he's aware of that mechanism by which they're tracking payments.
Can you repeat the question, Senator, please?
I'm asking whether or not there is some automation or a mechanism by which you're able to track to ensure that lease agreements are paid in a timely fashion, or if there's any delayed payment, that there is some accountability to ensure that those lease payments are being made to the government of the Virgin Islands.
Internally at the Department of Property and Procurement, we do have software that is accessible to us and to myself through either a computer or a handheld devices to check to verify that the status of the accounts and the payments. Senator.
Very well. And real quickly, Attorney Rames, in regards to the request from St. Thomas Gas and Suntech, there were some issues in the past in regards to the timely delivery of propane fuel to residents. Are you aware whether or not that has been addressed?
My understanding is that there have been supply issues in the past, but I think that those have been resolved. I think that they have an on-time, delivery, at least an orientation in the company for on-time delivery. I'm not aware that those problems are currently persisting.
Can I ask that, in fact, if you could just take it back to management and ensure, because I know that was a topic of discussion in the past, both on the St. Thomas and the St. Croix side, where there was some supply chain issue and delivery was being compromised.
And let me just ask, you're speaking with respect to residential or commercial customers, or both?
Both.
Okay, I will ask the question and I will revert back to you via email.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's my line of questions at this point. Madam Chair, again, I want to recognize the work of the ACE Trucking as well as A9, Mr. Benjamin and Mr. Isaac in their continued work and the expansion there, and continue to wish them good luck as young individuals, again, moving to keep our island beautiful and clean, as well as to, continue to expand that. A9 Trucking, the same goes there. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I know that I heard a motion, and we're heading straight to the motion, Senator. We have to change stenographers, so please allow the process. No? We're good? Okay, we can push through. Got it. Okay, so you ready to bring the motion, Senator? Senator Javon E. James Sr., you're recognized for your motion.
Madam Chair and colleagues, I move that Bill number 35-0017, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, acting through its Commission of the Department of Property and Procurement, and Suntech Group, Inc., doing business as St. Thomas Gas, for parcel number 4, submarine base number 6, Southside Quarter, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, consisting of approximately 27,732.393 United States square feet, or 0.637 U.S. acre, as shown on PWD file number D9-1426-278, to be used for the purpose of operating a trucking, transportation, delivery, and retail business of bottled propane gas, and for no other purpose, be forwarded from the Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance to the Committee on Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. I so move.
A motion has been properly made by Senator Javon E. James Sr., seconded by Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff, Senator Ray Fonseca. Roll call on Bill number 35-0017.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, absent. Senator Samuel Carrion.
Yes.
Senator Samuel Carrion, yea. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Yes. Senator DeGraff, yea. Senator Ray Fonseca.
Yes.
Senator Fonseca, yea. Senator Noel E. Francis Jr.
Yay.
Senator Francis Jr., yea. Senator Donna A. Fred Gregory.
Yes.
Senator Fred Gregory, yea. Senator Javon E. James Sr.
Yes.
Senator James Sr., yea. Madam Chair, 6 yea, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bill number 35-0017, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, acting through its Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement, and Suntec Group, Inc., doing business as St. Thomas Gas for parcel numbers 4, Submarine Base, number 6, Southside Quarter, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, consisting of approximately 27,732.393 U.S. square feet, or 0.637 U.S. acre, as shown on PWD file number D9-1426-T78, to be used for the purpose of operating a trucking, transportation, delivery, and retail business of bottled propane gas, and for no other purpose, has been approved by the Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, and will be forwarded to the Committee on Rules and the Judiciary for further consideration. Do I hear a motion? Senator DeGraff, you're recognized for your motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Bill number 35-0018, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, acting through its Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement, and A9 Trucking Enterprises, Inc., and Sarnelli Brothers, VI Inc., DBA, VI Recycling Company, be voted on favorably in this committee and forwarded to the Committee of Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved by Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff, seconded by Senator Giovanni James Sr., Senator Ray Fonseca. Roll call. Hearing no objections. Roll call on Bill number 35-0018.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, absent. Senator Samuel Carrion.
Yes.
Senator Carrion, yea. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff.
Yes.
Senator DeGraff, yea. Senator Ray Fonseca.
Yes.
Senator Fonseca, yea. Senator Noel E. Francis Jr.
Yay.
Senator Francis Jr., yea. Senator Donna A. Fred Gregory.
Yes.
Senator Fred Gregory, yea. Senator Javon E. James Sr.
Yes.
Senator James Sr., yea. Madam Chair, 6 yea, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bill number 35-0018, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, acting through its Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement, and A9 Trucking Enterprises, Inc., and Sonelli Brothers, VI, Inc., doing business as VI Recycling Company, has been approved by the Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, and will be forwarded to the Committee on Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. Do I hear a motion? Senator James Sr., you're recognized for your motion.
Madam Chair, I move that Bill number 35-0019, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, acting through its Commission of the Department of Property and Procurement, and the Virgin Islands Telephone Corporation, doing business as VIA, for a portion of a telecommunication tower and bunker in building number 1, Suite 2, parcel number 6, Recovery Hill, Company Quarters, St. Croix, Virgin Islands, consisting of a telecommunications tower and a 9x8 room and bunker, zoned P, for the establishment and operation of a wireless link connections and to house associated equipment in the 9x8 bunker and for no other purposes whatsoever, be voted on favorably in the Committee on Budget, Operations, and Finance and be forwarded to the Committee on Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. I so move.
Motion has been properly moved by Senator Javon James Sr., seconded by Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Roll call on Bill number 35-0019.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, absent. Senator Samuel Carrion.
Yes.
Senator Carrion, yay. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff.
Yes.
Senator DeGraff, yay. Senator Ray Fonseca.
Yes.
Senator Fonseca, yay. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr.
Yay.
Senator Francis Jr., yay. Senator Donna A. Fred Gregory.
Yes.
Senator Fred Gregory, yay. Senator Javon E. James Sr.
Yes.
Senator James Sr., yay. Madam Chair, 6 yay, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bill number 35-0019, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, acting through its Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement, and the Virgin Islands Telephone Corporation doing business as VIA for a portion of a telecommunication tower and bunker in building number 1, Suite 2, parcel number 6, Recovery Hill, Company Quarter, St. Croix, Virgin Islands, consisting of a telecommunications tower and a 9x8 room and bunker zoned P for the establishment and operation of a wireless link connection and to house associated equipment in the 9x8 bunker and for no other purpose whatsoever, has been approved by the Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance and will be forwarded to the Committee on Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Senator.
Motion.
So we did St. Croix, so we're going to... Senator Francis Jr., you recognize your motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and colleagues. I move that Bill number 35-0025, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, Department of Property and Procurement, and Anthony Isaac, doing business as ACE Trucking and Trash Removal, be approved by the Committee of Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, and sent on to the Rules and Judiciary Committee for further vetting. I so move.
The motion has been properly made by Senator Novell Francis Jr., seconded by Senator Giovanni James Sr., Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff, Senator Ray Fonseca. Roll call on Bill number 35-0025.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, absent. Senator Samuel Carrion.
Yes.
Senator Carrion, yay. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff.
Yes.
Senator DeGraff, yay. Senator Ray Fonseca.
Yes.
Senator Fonseca, yay. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr.
Yay.
Senator Francis Jr., yay. Senator Donna A. Fred Gregory.
Yes.
Senator Fred Gregory, yay. Senator Javon E. James Sr.
Yes.
Senator James Sr., yay. Madam Chair, 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Bill number 35-0025, an act approving the lease agreement between the Government of the Virgin Islands, Department of Property and Procurement, and Anthony Isaac, doing business as ACE Trucking and Trash Removal, has been approved by the Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance, and will be forwarded to the Committee on Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. Colleagues, this concludes the business of today. However, I'm going to give the Deputy Commissioner of Property and Procurement, Mr. Vincent Richards, an opportunity. I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to give a 30-second close. Mr. Deputy Commissioner Richards, you may proceed.
Madam Chair, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to present these lease agreements for these businesses. It's always a pleasure when the hard work of the Department of Property and Procurement and the executive branch comes together to provide opportunities to individuals. I'd just like to say thank you. I look forward to continue working with your committee and making the process much more streamlined and smoother. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your hard work. Attorney Jones?
Yes, good afternoon again. On behalf of VI Recycling, I too want to express my gratitude on behalf of not only VI Recycling, but the formative entities, including A9 Trucking and Sonelli Brothers, Inc. This is just going to allow the company to continue to do important work in the Virgin Islands, removing scrap metal. And this is something that we don't even think about on an everyday basis. And that's because the work is being done. And they will continue to do that well into the next 10 years. So having this lease is really a tremendous benefit to the company. And we thank you for it.
Thank you. Attorney Kevin Rames?
Yes, and thank you very much, Madam Chair, and to the Commission and to the committee. I've had the privilege of representing both VIA and Suntech for a couple of decades now, and I know these people to be, fully committed to the business and fully committed to providing excellent service to the people of the Virgin Islands. We have some questions, obviously, that we need to answer, and I will do so. But I would like to thank the committee, the government of the Virgin Islands, and particularly Mr. Richards, Deputy Commissioner Richards, for his diligence and his focus on getting these leases completed. Thank you very much.
And thank you. And I'll just say, and to our stars of the day, because they are just engaging with the GVA. And I didn't ask you a question earlier. I didn't ask you, are you owed by Waste Management Authority?
Yes.
How much? I wanted to ask that question, but my colleague made a motion, so I had to move on.
I think it's about 9 months.
About 5 months?
9.
9 months, yeah. So, you see the issue? So, colleagues, we know that as we look at the work that we do in the 35th legislature, we definitely have to look at what's occurring with Waste Management Authority. These are small businesses. The expectation is that they pay the government lease 9 months. What's your monthly ask of Waste Management?
I think it's a little north of 60,000.
So 6 times 5 is 35, right?
Yeah.
5.
54. That's a lot of money. 9 months. So we didn't want to close on a note, but I think it was an important question to ask that, as you come before the legislature, you don't really ask these questions. But, you don't say that in your testimony, but it's important that, we know the challenges that small businesses are experiencing here. So that's something that we have to make a commitment to address as we do the work in the 35th legislature. So we're going to allow you to close. 30 seconds.
All right, thank you, the 35th legislature of the Virgin Islands, for your time, and we look forward to doing business with you.
All right, well, we look forward to doing business with you. We thank you for your work, and we have to push to make sure that our small businesses get paid when they do work with the government, because our good friend here, the expectation is that you're going to pay your lease on time. You can't pay your lease on time if the government owes. Okay? I'm just going to close by saying that we have started Women's History Month and Virgin Islands History Month, and I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity to thank all Virgin Islands women who came before myself, my colleagues, and all women leaders in this territory whose shoulders we are standing on, and give them all the thanks and the glory for helping us to progress as Virgin Islands women. And, you know, I am often reminded that the work that we do in this institution is because of the opportunity for the work that we do is because of the people that came before us. So it's always good to give reverence to those that come before us and ensure that we too have far-reaching legislation and a far-reaching impact, positive impact on the work that we do here. So it's my hope that I and my colleagues that we are leaving behind a foundation for others that come after us can build on. That's why we're here, to make sure that we reach back and we pull others forward. So without further ado, I want to thank the members of the central staff who've stayed here with us today, and most definitely those of the media division. We know that we have some challenges that we really need to work out internally, but we're going to get it done. We know that, you know, the bandwidth is definitely an issue that we have, and we really need to work those things out. But without further ado, I want to thank each and every one of us that stayed here with us today. The Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance is hereby adjourned.